Oh, sorry. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is me, Pa Ous, on the State of Affairs broadcast show, the first of its kind, and the first edition as well. And it's a platform that will be discussing about state of affairs of the country and political affairs of this country. So let me just. So this program is brought to you by VOD, and it talks about it's about politics and state of affairs of the country and what matters in our society, and also looking at all angles of national development and also social events and national development issues, and looking at specific people and into specific areas that has to do with national development and politics. And today is the first episode, like I said, and I hope to bring in guests every fortnight if time allows us. And also today we'll be having our first guest, who is the GDC diaspora PRO, Mr. Dodou Ndow, who's all the way from Wellingborough. So, Mr. Ndow, I'm gonna bring you up. Mr. Ndow, you are welcome. You are live online on VOD on the State of Affairs talk show. And if I could just give you a couple of 2 minutes to introduce yourself to the world, who you are, and your position in the GDC diaspora, and well, just a brief introduction. You know, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi Rabbi Sadri wa Yasrli Amri Wahlul Uqadamin Lisani Yafkahu Qawli. I am greeting everybody, all the listeners and the viewers. My name is Mr. Dodou Ndow, as most people call me Do. I am the GDC Diaspora PRO. Been with the party since 2016. I live for a couple of decades now. Been actively involved in Gambian politics for a long time, fighting obviously against the dictatorship. Believe in democratic principles, studied here in the UK. Did graduate and my postgraduate studies all in the UK. Actively doing some businesses in the Gambia as well as the UK, and also work as a consultant in the UK. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ndow. I think well, we balancing this program. The front of the program, I forgot to mention. We balancing from different local languages, and unfortunately, the only language I could speak is Maninka, and I hope so. We'll be balancing from Wolof to an English, so that we could get as much as listeners possible, so they can so the message can go through. And yes, thank you for that brief introduction, Mr. Ndow. And I believe we will, based on this discussion today, which is going to be on leadership, we'll be backdating our discussion and debate all the way as far as 2016. Hence, your involvement in the GDC as a member, and climbing all the way up to being the GDC diaspora PRO. So now we go straight into the program. It's going to be an hour and a half program, and we will try as much as possible to have 5 and 10 minutes interval breaks. So we're going to start with the leadership. So now we're going to look at the Gambia. I understand you are the GDC diaspora PRO. So now first I will ask you, we have seen that every political party, or most of them, do have their branches in the diaspora. And first, I will begin with establishing what influence does the GDC diaspora have over the GDC in the Gambia in terms of decision making, in terms of what needs to be done and what does not need to be done.
Well, you've asked two questions there, Pa, because one of them you asked the GDC diaspora and also the influence of GDC in the Gambia. But first of all, I will the second question first to say that the GDC diaspora chapter have been established since 2016. Again, the underground operations in terms of policies, advice, social support, to ensure that their operation is smooth on the ground. The recognizes that the Gambians abroad are instrumental in the struggle to ensure democracy in the Gambia. And for that, GDC is the first political party to form a chapter in the diaspora. That was the UK chapter, which was formed in 2016, before any party formed a chapter. So, and even to greet my colleagues who I've been working with since 2016, the chair lady, Caroline, and our other AI companies, the financial treasurer, my chairman of the UK chapter, as well as myself, obviously, as deputy chairperson of the UK chapter, as well as the diaspora PRO. So again, in the Gambia, you can see we've never been working with the Gambia people on the ground to ensure they make the right choices, do the right things for the common good. And this has been proved in obviously the 2016 elections. In what GDC had done in 2016 with the leadership of Honorable Mama Kande, entire GDC executive in the Gambia, we've seen obviously obviously the influence of GDC in the Gambia in 2016 election up to now is something that not visible.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator. Thank you for that brief introduction. Now let's go now back to Gambia. And since 2016, we had this slogan, New Gambia, which we all know, and we've been hearing everybody saying New Gambia, New Gambia. And then what has changed in terms of leadership then and now?
Again, it's nothing new, really, because if you look at the actual stages of things that have taken place between 2016 and now, you can see that just a change of a label, but obviously the same content. So it's like, you know, as the saying goes, it is easy, but to effect a comprehensive change in practice is the greater challenge. And this has been the Jammeh has gone as a lead president. We have a new president, and obviously the same system in place, the same processes in place, the same people, obviously the same culture, work culture in place. So nothing has really changed. So that is why it is a challenge, and we can all see that there is no socio-economic development in the Gambia. There is no political stability in the Gambia since inception. I mean, if we assess the political performance in the Gambia, we can see that there is no, material prosperity within the Gambia, and the citizenship itself, they don't feel being obviously involved. Thus, you very discontent, and people are just neglected basically. And also democratic rule. I mean, we went election, we had changed the president, but nothing else is democratic. At the end of the day, again, I can understand the different democracy, but Gambia is as a nascent democracy, developing democracy. We expected a lot of things to be changed by now, but obviously, since in 2017, 2018, the question we've been asking, it still has not been answered. So to me, obviously,
Mr. Ndow, is it up to the government or up to the people or up to the leadership to bring about change? Who changes first? Who are these people we're talking about? And I'm talking about democratic, talking about system change. On your introduction, you just mentioned to me that you are the deputy chairperson and also the PRO of the GDC diaspora. We're talking about a leadership issue in our society in every sector of life, touching every household and every institution. We are looking for a system change. We are looking for a democratic society. And coming back to your role, technically you are a government in waiting, and then you are telling me now that you are a deputy chairperson and also the PRO. How do we fit in ourselves and the problem that we are faced with, and how we position ourselves in the scenario? Is it us who should change?
Okay, just to rectify there, Pa. In the diaspora, GDC has a structure in the diaspora. We have the members in the US, members in the UK, and other parts of the Europe, obviously, and some even in some other parts of. So we have a diaspora, and in this diaspora, that's where I stand as an official public relation officer. But also in the UK chapter, we have a UK chapter. In the UK chapter, which is only structure, that's where I am the deputy chairperson, because we have a chairperson, a chairwoman as the leader, who is the lady. So in my capacity as chapter, I am the deputy chairperson. Behind number two with the woman, and obviously behind the woman, and then you have the other finance treasurer, and you have the technical assistant as well. So we have that structure. So I'm talking about, it's like two different levels. So don't mix up the two. But also,
okay, yeah. So, okay, I understand now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in your question. So in your question about change should be effected by all the parties that you've mentioned, the leadership, the leaders, the people, the parties. Let's break it down into levels. The political parties who are contesting to be in the country, the public servants, the civil servants, the people who obviously have run the machinery of government, who also are expected to be the people that operates the government. And also you have the public, who also have to contribute in the development of. So all these three segments. And when I say the public, I include the civil society organization, I include women, youths, groups, and all these able people within the country. Every person have a role to play in this, but all is led by the leadership, the president, and the people who are leading those parties. So yes, we need a very good leader to be leading the president, to be the republic, and also obviously the political parties, as we have very good leader, and every political party should have that. Also, the people themselves, they should also obviously organize themselves at this level or constituency level. They also have their public representatives who will be actively involved in any governance processes, to be part of the policy, the process of development, so that it will be an ongoing collective event.
That's fine. I'm not going to dwell too much on that. And now I understand that the diaspora, looking at the diaspora in relation to the UK, is like an umbrella, and then a subchapter of the diaspora, which is the UK. Thanks for the clarification, and I hope it's been very clear. But again, coming back to the current government and the leadership skills, we have seen that since we call this New Gambia, we have had political parties saying system change, which had not happened. And looking at what had happened recently, it looks like we have a leadership issue in this country. But then we had political parties that exist since 1987, 1996, and now in 2016, and then still now, we can't have an effective leadership in this country. And the way things are going, so sometimes it's like attention to detailed errors which we see constantly. And then we have your party as a GDC. I'm not saying we are not discussing specifically party in the Gambia, but again, as you mentioned, you give support and operational support, financial support, and policy advice on your party in the Gambia. But then, despite the fact that your party is still a player in the development and change of the new Gambia, what has changed in terms of how all party operates, in terms of how we see our leaders, in terms of how we set our policies? Do we involve the people concerned? Do we bring them into a round table? Because that's where leadership, good effective leadership starts from. You set a goal, and you delegate more. And we have this issue in the Gambia. When the party leader does not go out, when the party leader goes out, the party dies. When the party leader sets out policy or manifestos, there is no consultation at the grassroots level. And then is your party any different, or based on the advice, based on what you do to your party in the Gambia, is there any advice going in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, in Africa, for example, particularly in Africa, you know, governments don't invite oppositions. Oppositions are deemed as enemies. Even to be an opposition, if you are not lucky, you will not get a job in the Gambia. Working for government or any level, life will be very hard for you, as you know. So let alone being part of the body that will make changes in the government. However, you can, and that's what we are very good at as a party. You can see, for example, if we go back to Kuntaur last year or year before last, if you remember, Kuntaur disaster, GDC, in terms of going there as a humanitarian body, as a political party, obviously, but as also a humanitarian body that has influence. Tambajang was the vice president, if you remember. And they had to make every effort to be responsive to the need of the people in Kontaur. If you remember the URR last year, what GDC has done in terms of helping people in need. If you also remember, I mean, going back, the issues of providing water, you know, for people, some part of the Gambia, so there are some areas where people don't, and we identify those villages and those areas, and we go and spend a lot of money there to help them have water to drink as the fundamental basic need of human being. And you also would know the influence, what we have going back to even the 2016 in terms of influencing and trying to change the agenda and make it successfully in a way that we obviously lost the former president because of our influence. So we are not part of the government because it's not a shared government, and we are not, our systems also don't normally allow oppositions as we have in the West here. You saw before Theresa May left, she invited Jeremy Corbyn into office to discuss about the Brexit because it's a very, very important issue. And as an opposition, she had to seek his advice. So in the Gambia, it's not like that, as you know. So opposition leaders are hardly invited. They don't even have access to State House. They don't even get invited to anything. So you can see just a few days ago in the funeral of the former president, late Sadauda Kereba Jawara, you can see how the oppositions were marginalized. They were not even given 1 minute each person to just say what you want to say, or 2 minutes. So these are the norm. But like I said, how much you are invited to come and participate. It's about what influence, what you can do for people to follow. Because a good leader is not about to do things and you, but it's about to show them how is it done. When you do something and some other people follow it, is leadership. And that alone give us about leadership. Is about vision. It's about knowing where you want to get to. And working towards the strategies of getting that, Pa?
Thank you. I have a slight different, well, a different view from well, you mentioned that your party are very good at influencing change, but we still crying the same thing right now, and then we will come to an evidence of that, how the party managed to influence change at government level, and by virtue of we also put into, let's also put into consideration that you also have some MPs in the National Assembly, and we have some Saga. We'll come to that as well in the second phase. But in this time, also mentioned about some humanitarian gestures that the party did, which was fine. But quite often we see political parties doing these things, but it becomes to the question of, does your party understands the need of preference of the people in the Gambia in relation to when do they go out and support? Is it when we come near elections, or is it when they just do things because they have to do it? It's their responsibility, and they are a government in waiting to happen. So can we break down the scale or the understanding of preference of the party in relation to the need and their delegation of well, activities towards within the executive? If I'm not very clear,
I think no. If it is obviously about all these efforts and this support I'm talking about, I've mentioned, were done after the 2016 election, and we are not to election yet. If we are lucky, we will have election in 2019, but it most likely it will be 2021. So obviously, you see that all these things have taken place in the last 2 years, which is far away from election. One thing we need to understand, and I think I always try to reiterate that, is that in every society, politics in every society have to be done according to the belief of the people, that brings of the people. And that political culture influence our civic culture, or is influenced by our civil culture. Our civic culture, obviously, we are saying that GDC goes around, help people, support people with or without election. That is just something that we are known of. But and secondly,
can I just come in here? 1 minute. You just said something very important. The politics is played according to the belief of the people. And I am saying the belief of the Gambians is, you give me, I vote for you. You don't give me, I don't vote for you. This is a known fact in the Gambia, that that brings us to the issue of Jai Karta at Kuma Naka like we see pretending in some Bokala, Sahayitla, Sama Finekon. This is the political belief in the Gambia. Hence, we have weak leaderships. So, do you want to reframe that, or do you want to believe that the GDC, I'm not saying they are, but by definition, do we say they are playing in that political spectrum where they play according to the game and according to how the people of NURR wants us to play, by giving them what they want and at the time when they need it, and that's it.
If you not in that perspective, what I'm trying to say here is that the political culture, GDC understand the political culture of Gambians. That's true. And obviously, political culture of the Gambia is what morals are very important to us. Like, all of you understand. So, are very much into morality. They even put morality before legality. What is more moral? What is moral is more acceptable in our society. It's more important to us than the law that you come and bring to us. So the problem with these 3 years just now, no. But again, you look at the GDC in its performance.
Yeah.
They are a political party looking for office. Is the political party that has been established only in 2015, 2016. By now, we're talking about less than 4 years. With all the achievement it has done, how did it do it? How much money has GDC? Not much, but we believe into societal development. We believe into social entrepreneurship. We helping the farmers, helping the people, helping the urban rural areas, that every section have you. So by understanding that political culture, of also understanding that these people, if they put you in office, you have to deliver. You have to deliver what they believe in. You cannot impose your belief onto them. That's what I mean by political culture. And political culture is, in Africa, if somebody is really in need and you come and help that person, he will never forget you. And he will always do it. As the Wolof says, Kula jox benn am téeméer so amé million jox la junni. You understand?
Okay.
So when they are in government, that means then they will be thinking about these people in need and they will be supported. I give you an example. GDC is the first political party in the Gambia to bring in light people in the Gambia to be in the forefront of politics. And we are saying that in our government, we would make sure that the disability, for the disabled people, will be also be inclusive. They need to have access to certain places. There are certain cannot access in the Gambia. Most banks disabled cannot access because they cannot go with their wheelchairs. Some of them don't even have the access to the medication they need, the health they need, even though they cannot even go onto public transport. And most of them don't have even vehicles that are suitable for disabled. Just an example. So these are the things that the GDC understands. And look at the job we do for women, for example. In terms of women empowerment, look at the local government election that has passed. How much women we put in place. As the first political party to put that amount of women into positions. So to contest for and lead those constituencies or those local. So these are the things that we understand. And this is what I mean by understanding the political culture and working by that. So any political party that believes the contrary will not break any wave. As simple as that.
Thank you. And yes, well, yeah, thank you for that. I hope people would not misquote us here like the GDC party is just like a party that is that only comes out when they need. I hope that is very clear. We do not intend to damage and then just to remind viewers that we are watching the State of the Affairs show, a new political show talk forum that's just been established by the VOD media. And today is our first program, and our guest is the GDC Pa Ous diaspora, who is not speaking on behalf of the GDC in the Gambia. Rather, we are discussing about a general leadership challenges in the Gambia and how the GDC diaspora look at things, not necessarily what the GDC in the Gambia see things, and it's an official representation of the GDC in the Gambia. So I hope this is very clear. So that people don't come and say Mr. Ndow was on a platform trying to see things that was not that the GDC in Gambia did not say. So we just want to make a disclaimer. But again, we are also talking about the topic for today is leadership in the Gambia, and this has been something that everybody is crying. And coming back to policies, Mr. Ndow, when we had 7 political parties to come up and topple the old government, which was the former Yahya Jammeh's government, there was high hope, not just from the Gambians, but also from around the world. And today that hope had maybe died, but we will establish whether we still maintain that position in the eyes of the international community or not. But again, coming back to the presidency of, and then what has the GDC diaspora's position in advising the GDC Gambia to see those loopholes that this current government are bypassing, and then in terms of policy development, in terms of living up to what they promised the Gambians, because these are all down to leadership, integrity. and managerial skills, and also trying to set certain amount of goals and say we're gonna achieve A, B, C, and D, or we have set up A, B, C, and D, and we're gonna achieve them in certain amount of time, i.e. manifesto. But today we have a government that is going without no manifesto. Well, they had the NDP, which God knows where it came from. So we're talking about now. Let's assess now the position of the role, or the number 2 role of the GDC diaspora in trying to address these things. How do they respond to the things that are seen in this country? How do they respond, or how do they react, and how do they play with the GDC in the Gambia? Because we in the diaspora, we look at from the outside and we see more than what they can see. So that we have the advantage, and that fact cannot be taken away from the diaspora. Thank you.
Well, but we need to understand systems. The political system in all countries obviously starts with people. You have the people, and then you have the people input, and you have the gatekeepers. You have the input again, and have the government. We go back around again, the government that impacts to the people, that would be the output. So what the government does, that is the output. And that output, if it is not good for the people, then obviously the input to the gatekeepers again will be difficult. And saying that, we can see that again, for the government to deliver that output, it has to go with very effective leadership. And leadership is and promoting development. It is an intervention that should always be focused on a change space when rather than trying to creating leaders as an end. So again, intervention must be fitted to the context. Consistently, plurality, functionality, problem orientation, and change space creation. And this is all about leading the government output all the way down to the people to get things done. Now, that didn't happen over the 3 years. And as a political party, as a political entity, legal political entity, cannot be rebellious to this, cannot into a position whereby it will create any political instability. However, we can advise, we can warn. In our leadership potentials, we can visionize what can happen, as the Honorable did a few weeks ago and the President should do a dialogue in the Haruna Drame case interview, do a dialogue with the people to avoid political instability. Doesn't need that. To avoid people being discontent continuously, and to make sure that we have peace in the country. Even though that has been misinterpreted but the GDC has done that. And also for the GDC to do that, obviously, that also for the GDC diaspora, in terms of with regard to the GDC, remember the policy process includes the initiation process, the formulation, as well as the implementation and the evaluation. When we come to the initiation process of any policy, the GDC diaspora is actively involved. We are in contact with them, we are in communication with them every day. From the diaspora to the chairman or to the party leader or to the executive. We listen to what the diaspora says, or I am always on air in different radio stations, and all these things that we get from people, all these things that we learn from people, are the things that the Gambian people want to see, and we make note of that, and we make our policies out of that. We go and pass it on, and the executive obviously use that, and with their own expertise as well as their understanding of the ground to ensure and use in the Gambian context. So this is how the whole policies goes, and this is how the influence takes place. But like I said, again, we have a very limited to the government of the day. So, but whatever we hear or we see and we feel,
do we necessarily need any form of access? Because of every opposition political party is a government in waiting and should be able to do things on their own with or without requesting or demanding for access, because we don't need access. In fact, the political parties, they are part of the government, they are part of the people, and they are an institution that but an institution with a different setting. So whatever access or whatever they have to do after giving access could be done outside without being given an access, because they need to be able to prove that they have the leadership capability to change things around. Because remember, 2016, 7 political parties came together and promised the Gambians that they have the capability to change things around. So what makes us think that a political party could do what 7 political parties promised to do and they did not do? So what kind of access are we defining here?
Okay, thank you. Access here is, you know that to make decisions and to make confirmed choices, you have the information to be able to decide and make an advice on whatever is taking place. And you know very well that if you're an opposition in the Gambia, to go and even get an information from National Assembly, Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Finance, anywhere, it's easier even to get it from the internet or from Facebook than go give it to you. So that access to information as designed in the Constitution as well as the Public Code of Conduct, Public Servants Code of Conduct, is not in practice. People don't exercise that. So the biggest challenge as a government in waiting, yes, we have to demonstrate leadership, which obviously can be seen unless people don't want to see it. If those who don't want to see it will not see it. But the reality is, after 3 years, the GDC has shown a lot of leadership potentials by having a good vision for the country. We're always working towards the strategies and achieving them as well. So the government, obviously, of the day, as we can see, have most of the important things, which obviously you can see is because of the weakness in the leadership. So if the GDC leadership was not that effective, obviously we wouldn't have achieved that. So we have achieved from 2016 all the way through to what we have achieved today, a party that grows by the day and by the week. So, I mean, my point here is we as a nation, we have to get political parties, no matter what. There are good political parties or there are bad political parties, and these concerned Gambians have to be actively involved into politics to make sure the right direction. We have so much Gambian intellectuals, good, knowledgeable people in and outside the Gambia, and they have to be part of the system to be a comprehensive change. And this is the issue in the government of the day, as well as a challenge even for the political parties. So
yeah, but Mr. Ndow, we every political party have a representative in the National Assembly, even though they may not have the majority. to put through or to pass or against any bill or any motion. But still, if we claim to be the best, if we claim to be a political party leader and want to effect change, and we could manage to influence, not to make a change, but the key word here is to influence a change. I think this way our political parties also, don't you think our political parties are thinking that if I'm not there, I could make a change. If I don't have a majority, I can't have a change. Rather, the key word should be influencing a change to happen or initiating a change process to happen. Is that kind of leadership skill that our people or our leaders are lacking? The skill to initiate and to influence those keywords, not to make a change. Because the thing is, just let's take it this way. Tay sakir munuma ñew dogal elek li nga toga añ li nga joxe dépasse sakir la, but I can initiate and I can influence elek li nga toga sakir. That could be done even without you knowing. That could be done in a kind of a way being could be off the records, and it happened. Is that not a skill that our people or our politicians today are lacking?
Well, it is very easy for people to always stand there and say politicians, particularly those. And this goes across all the political parties in the Gambia. But I think, it's very easy to sit down in your comfort zone and say in the Gambia are not effective, because what they have achieved in that climate over the last 5 years, I mean, even is something that I will always commend them for, because I'm sitting here with my nice environment, food, no threat, everything cozy, and they are on the ground doing what they're doing. So the political parties in the Gambia has achieved a lot. So they need to obviously do more, and we are going to continue to demand more. The need for innovation is we are now in a time, because the public are now more literate, more litigious, and expect more than ever before. So for that reason, I mean, we need to ensure that the political landscape is more competitive, people have more to offer to the people, so that the Gambia can move forward. And obviously we have not stopped. We are continuing. That's why today I could have gone and be a technocrat and just apply for a job and be in any organization and be a permanent secretary or even something like a director or something, and just keep my mouth and enjoy my life, even in the UK here, without improving in the Gambia. But no, I believe that I can do better for Gambia, because that's where I was born from, despite all the luxury I have in here in the UK. Because thank God to the English or to the British, I came here without nothing. I am. Whatever I know and whatever I learn, I'm trying to bring it back to my country. But hey, even that is going to be a challenge, because some people will stand there and say, no, that's not going to happen. So you're not going to have 100%. But our aim is to ensure we have 80% of the Gambia. We appreciate, be willing to work with us, not working against us to deliver for Gambia. And this has to be done through elections, through political contests, through political parties. So what it's all about. So for us to influence, as I mentioned in the beginning of the program, we are not inside, we are outside, but influence from the outside by setting the goals, setting the bar higher, setting the standards. And that's what we do every day.
Thank you. I think that is very well clear. The position of a GDC in the diaspora is very clear, and likewise, we have mentioned also a policy. But again, you also mentioned about GDC being the first party to include disabled people, and you mentioned about banks not having even disability access for disabled people, and I think that is very important. And again, we looking at policy or design. Who was it designed for, and who is it designed for, and the when that, at what point or at what situation or time was the policy designed? These are all three things that we need to consider. And I hope, as you mentioned, the GDC must have had a policy that addressed these things. But again, looking at this government and also their economic performance, and we have seen the President Adam Barrow hiring and firing people. Sometimes we see they're incompetent. Sometimes we see they've worked in the previous government. Sometimes we say it's the wrong one. And recently seen that he employed one diaspora Gambian, and it was people were saying about different things. But again, coming back to his ability to grab or to hold or to resist or to transform the Gambia into that heaven that we call for, he must need the support of the opposition. Hence, we have a National Assembly which constitute different political parties, and that's where laws are made, that's where policies are approved. But again, we have the GDC who get, I think, 5 or 6 in there. I think it's 5. But is there any consultation between the GDC diaspora and the MPs directly to influence policies to address the need specific the diaspora, i.e. diaspora vote? I understand the diaspora GDC was the first party and the only party so far I've seen making noise about diaspora vote. It was started and the process was started, but after we don't know how far it went to. So what is the link between the diaspora GDC with the MPs in regards to policies and, example, the supplementary bill? Because we had political parties and we had the 52 vehicles, we had MPs, all MPs must have got these things. So where is our leadership conscience? Where do we draw the bar in terms of, hey, don't go beyond that?
Yeah, thank you, Pa. I mean, before I go to that, I mean, the link between the GDC and the National Assembly members. Yes, we have 5 National Assembly members. But before I go to that, I want to just say to you that, yes, you mentioned about the disability, and that is just one of our programs. But a GDC government will bring about radical changes based on good governance, principle of transparency, accountability, rule of law, and citizens' participation. That is something that we have to come up with. We have to make a change, and a change, I mean, is going to be a merit-based change. It has to be also a change, something like medium term, long term, because it has to be medium term changes or short term need is paramount. Health education, health sector B. For example, people need medication, people need food, people need cheap cost of living. These 3 things, for example, are shortest term plan to government. Then you have the long term plan, the medium term plans of the education. You have education. You have things like reform on the medium by 1 year or so. You do 2 years, 3 years. All institutions are reformed. You have disability inclusion for all Gambians. You're gonna have something like health and social welfare reform. Gambia, majority of the Gambians are poor. And unless we have a system in place, a very strong economy, help the people, they are in need to be able to alleviate their poverty and help them to be included in society. Quality education, as I mentioned, and increased science and technology focus. All these things are in our plans. But like I said, the government could have started it by including or getting advice or support from the GDC and get some with all these plans that we have in place, so that obviously when we come in, we just continue it. But no, they're not going to do it because it's not going to be in their interest. They don't want to be seen For example, when you saw Theresa May inviting President Barrow, would not want to see Honorable Kande by his side to say, oh, he's the one supporting me to achieve this. We don't mind. Gambia belongs to all. At the end of the day, we know sooner or later they will have to leave and we have to come in. And after us, another party will come in. But what is important is what we are going to deliver for Gambians so that when we leave, sooner or later, we will leave a legacy. And that legacy will be, hey, we want the GDC back. Look at Barack Obama for America. People would, if there was possibility for him to come back to be a president, he would be back as a president in America because he's loved, well loved in America, more than what they currently have. So these are the we are talking about. But in African politics, or Gambian particularly, as we are now, that is the chance is very slim for that to take place. So, come your last part of your question, which was talking about obviously the National Assembly. The GDC has always been in touch with the National Assembly. You remember, in my last program at the UDP Bantaba show, I mentioned about some of the laws that we initiated through Section 101 of the Gambian Constitution and Section 100 for them to use the UDP National Assembly members and get this tabled and we get it changed. That is in 2019. If we want 2019 to be an election, we have to have a level playing field, and we have to have this by having 50 plus 1%. 50 plus 1% can be tabled while the CRC, Constitutional Review Commission, are doing their job. By the time they finish, it is already there. And it is mandatory in their commission, in their work, for this to be there. But of election 2019, we don't want to go by first past the post as we have in the 1997 Constitution. And the GDC used the National Assembly for Joshua to wrote a letter to him to pass to his colleagues, and they discuss it to make this thing go on table in the parliament. Firstly, the answer we had was, some of us were talking about, some of them were saying that that clause is entrenched, it cannot be changed. But obviously it's not entrenched because it was originally in the 1997 Constitution. Jame had to change it. So, and he changed it through parliament. We didn't have any referendum from 1996 until now. There's no referendum in the Gambia. So if any law is changed in the Gambia after the 1997 Constitution has been rolled out, it has been changed through parliament. So, but because of this problem of obviously the leadership that we have, the issue of the chaos between the political parties, so this thing didn't materialize. And obviously up till now, we are trying to influence that. The diaspora seen me in the CRC in London, emphasizing about the diaspora vote, emphasizing about the need for the clear written of this so that we don't have them changed once any government comes in, because we're spending a lot of money, a lot of time to have a robust constitution, and we should ensure by end of 2019, December, when they finish their work, early 2020, even though the current administration are not very keen for the Gambia to have a referendum in 2020 to ensure that the new constitution kicks in. They want to use the current constitution until it's finished before they can start the new constitution to say have a new constitution. But this is obviously that is both political and non-political Gambians will have to work very hard on to ensure the current administration action this new year. We are very active in the new constitutional building, and you've seen me in many forums. You've seen my party members in the Gambia, the executive, the leader of the party, in many forums talking about this. And we have been the first political party again when they launched the CRC to be checking Gambians' needs. As you've seen me, a private platform that I use to find out what people think, and we can also go by that because we always want to put people first. Pa.
Thank you. Would you mind we go for a 5-minute break, and when we come back, we get some hard and tough questions on the board.
Thank you, Pa. Anytime. Then yes, inshallah, we can do that, and we catch up later. Yeah. Thank you.
So we come back and in 5 minutes time. That's 2010.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
Well, no, you break new in 10 minutes time. Now 5 minutes time. Hello, welcome back. We're back online. I did say 5 minutes, but I guess we don't want to keep our audience waiting that long. But thank you, everyone, for watching. We appreciate your company. And then this is a state of affairs, a new political talk show brought to you by Voice Out Digital Media. You can follow us on our Facebook page, Voice Out Digital, and also you could always watch our videos on YouTube and subscribe, please. It does help. So we appreciate if everybody else log onto our Facebook page and like the page and keep following us. We'll be having, after this program, we'll be having another program with our host Eva Sar, I think, is it 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, I think. So stay tuned with us. We will bring you very entertaining and educative programs to keep us going and then energizing the brains as well. So with me today, with my first program is Mr. Dodou Ndow, the GDC Diaspora PRO and the GDC Diaspora Vice Chairperson. And we are talking about the state of affairs of this country. And we have a specific and a problem that is hitting hard in everybody's brain, heart, and mind, is leadership. And Mr. Ndow, welcome back to the show. And this section, we have 30 minutes. Well, we have 20 minutes to go. And Mr. Ndow, in these 20 minutes, we're going to make it as hard as possible. And it's going to be straightforward question, answer. And then with due respect to all we are saying here, is not the view or representation of the GDC in the Gambia as a party. We are not here to tarnish any party's image, rather, or any individual's image. Rather, we are discussing opinions and suggestions and what the GDC diaspora stand is on things that are in the Gambia and their leadership and the leadership of the country as a whole. So, Mr. Ndow, first, I'm gonna ask you this question, Mr. Ndow. We are now 2 years or 3 years down the line. What is the position of the GDC diaspora in these 3 years or 5 years, Jotna? What are they advising the GDC in this Gambia?
I mean, they are concerned Gambians, obviously. They are protesting against the immoral behavior of the leadership with regards to his promise in coalition 2016. So our view, or my view in this, is that obviously they have to be given the right to show their discontent and respect that as Gambians, but obviously at the same time with responsibility from them to ensure that they only show their discontent and let it obviously make some impact in the way that the leadership thinks and make some adjustments or behavioral changes. But obviously, the 3 years journey it consists of Gambians from various parts, obviously from political parties, from the public, from even the civil service. So I think it is important to recognize that it is a movement that is bigger than any political party in a sense, because it consists of people from various different parties who are concerned about this 3 years, 5 years issue. So for that reason, obviously, they need to be recognized and listened to and address their concerns. I mean, if it is to do with, as GDC has recognized, recommended, that the president called for a dialogue with the political parties, the civil society organizations, I mean, the groups, women groups, youth groups at the State House, as recommended by the president, the party leader of GDC, to have a discussion and ensure political stability for the Gambia. So that obviously, if it means that he carries on, obviously because legally no one can force him out, which was the problem of the commotion in the beginning, which everyone can say now or can freely say now. But if that is the case, he carries on, but not that for him to leave office and for vice president to continue for another 2 years, as some people say it, because that is not the right approach. The end of 3 years journey is for the mandate of the coalition 2016, not personally as Barrow to leave and the coalition continues. That's not the point. So that is basically my position. Thank you.
No, thank you. So can we conclude by saying that then GDC is part of the 3 years journey? Is that right or wrong?
No, that is not. As a party, it's not obviously. You haven't seen any of our executive part of the GDC 3 years journey. Well, we have GDC supporters or GDC sympathizers who are obviously in the 3 years journey as Gambians.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah, that is very clear. So it's constitute Gambians who may have affiliation in different parties.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tell you, I just said to you that in the 3 years journey, you have civil servants.
Yes.
Who currently Barrow's government, who are part of the 3 years journey. You have people from all parties, from DOI, from UDP, from PPP, from GDC. They are all there. Okay. So that's why I am saying that it's as big as a national problem, not a party, one party issue.
So what is the thing that what our political parties could not achieve or do, the 3 years journey can do? Do they downplay the job of political parties in the Gambia? Are we going back to the 1970s where we have the Battle State Union to fight for the liberation of this country?
No, at all. There are two different issues here, because what we need to understand is that political parties are legal entities, registered. Obviously, I'm not saying that the 3 years journal is not legal entity, but the 3 years journal is rather a group of people from various parts. You cannot hold the 3 years journal accountable as per a political party, because a political party, GDC, is a political party. It has a party leader. It has an executive.
But Mr. Ndow, the 3 years journal, of course, will hold accountable because they are registered under the Edit Chambers 2003 Company Act, which speculates rules and regulations, and they would be also guided by the Gambian laws, the same laws that will be guided by the political parties, except for the fact that they will not be on the IEC radar. But again, that's why I said, is the 3 years journal becoming a movement to downplay our political parties to do what they have not done? And I also said, are we going back to the 1970s when we had trade unions? Because then there was no political party. Trade unions, PSNI, and this MC Cham Junior, the first one, they are the ones, their time, they had unions that fought for the liberation of Gambia to some extent. But now we have political parties who were there. They said, yes, we agree to A, B, C, and D, could not subscribe to what they have agreed on. Now we're going to have a combination of Gambians, extractions from these political parties and institutions and civil servants to come and downplay our political parties.
Okay, let's make it this way, to be simple. The political parties are there for political office, political contest, yeah? 3 years journal, they are there for a different mission to ensure that whoever government is in place, as we are in the situation we are in now, to ensure that the Barrow government is held accountable on whatever they're supposed to deliver. So, as per the promise. So, I am saying that this 3 years journal is not as a political party in which, if this move was to be led by GDC or was to be led by UDP or DOI, then it becomes a legal entity like a political party going against a legal framework of constitution. Yes, those political parties were affected, particularly the GDC and the APRC were affected in this whole saga because they went to the elections with 5 years, and the coalition 2016 went to election for 3 years. So now that they have not delivered that, concerned Gambians come together and say that, yes, you have to honor, or you should honor this. We are going to show you that we are not happy. And we are saying that that is a bigger than political party, because that brings all political parties together and all Gambians from all walks of life. That is why I said to you earlier, it is bigger or can be bigger than a particular political party, because it comprises of people from even those in the civil service, as well as...
But Mr. Ndow, MPs are concerned Gambians. We elect them to scrutinize and be a watchdog for government. There seems to be a problem then with our political system, and there seems to be a problem with Gambia having what is called political parties, because yes. So
the political problem we have is, if you have a National Assembly that is not functional, as we have now, I wish the National Assembly was more than 50% GDC. We would see the difference, but what you have there is a divided National Assembly and powerless National Assembly, to that extent that when National Assembly is not functional, as we can see recently in the UK, how effective the National Assembly was, House of Commons, to stop the Prime Minister until she had to resign, and even the current one, Boris Johnson, what he's trying, what they've done last week to shut the Parliament and all these things. You've seen how active they are. If the Gambia National Assembly was that active, they would have summoned the president. Under Section 77 of the Gambia Constitution states that the president can be summoned for any national interest to come to the National Assembly, and he will be asked questions and he will answer. And when he answers, they will decide. And when the National Assembly say, okay, you know what? I think on consensus, we should all agree that the president should be leave to carry on for another 5 years, for 5 years. or we should make sure the president get step down in 3 years. So these are all that our representatives should have decided before we, the people, decides it. But no, because our representatives are not effective, so obviously the people are taking charge. And this is the problem in the political system.
So does that include the GDC MPs in the parliament?
Well, remember the GDC MPs are only 5. And I've mentioned to you the effort we have made earlier in regards to these 2019 elections, in regards to summoning, ensuring that the president is summoned to the National Assembly. We've done all that, but like I said, we are just 5 out of 53. You understand? So out of that National Assembly, we are a minority there. And yes, we will have support of some other 1 or 2 from some different parties. But like I said, the most important thing is that is why it is important for the Gambians to ensure that they choose the right people to represent them. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. That was very, very clear. But I want to believe that there is that 5 is not just 5 alone. Yes, we may see 5 in that position elected, but is it about numbers? Is it not about the amount of work influence we could do? Like, for example, there's a political party in this country. They've been existing since 1987, and then despite they've never won anything, despite their small numbers in parliament, but they've been able to make an impact. Not necessarily what we can feel, what we can see, but what people can really feel that this exists. Well, thanks to now we have the bond of the GDC in 2016. They put up 50 candidates and they get 5. And then that tells you, with the amount of good jobs so far you've said was able to be done with the 5. So which again tells you it's not about number. It's about your policies. It's about how much people you can reach. It's about how many influential activities you can put into to attract the verdict of the people. So should we not deviate from the issue of numbers and talk about programs, number of good policies we have influenced, number of the, because it's no longer minority. GDC may have 5, but the amount of 5s we have in the Gambia is bigger than the amount of 20 we have and 50 we have. So therefore, the word I'm going to use there is the majority of the minority. And you can tell the 3 years Jotna. It's a combination of small bits of people from different sections in society that come together and form the 3 years Jotna, which is now, according to you, is bigger than a political party, because minorities came together and formed the majority of the bigger picture. So
yeah, I mean, Pat, I think what we need to understand here is politics is all about numbers, and whatever decision is made in politics, in especially democracy, is government by the people. Remember?
Yeah, but
people by the people, and people is numbers in whatever decision is being made. Having 5 National Assembly members trying to influence the other 40s for any bill to pass in the National Assembly, you need about 39 people to pass it, and that involve having to get the buy-in of those 39 people. And you have seen our National Assembly have been disunited since day one. You know, you've mentioned it earlier. You know, by whatever was going on, you've seen the political parties, for example, that has been existing even before the existence of GDC, with all their good policies and programs, they couldn't break through. Why? Because obviously they couldn't get the numbers they need to get to where they need to be. So at the end of the day, the GDC 5 National Assemblies can work as hard as possible to bring some policies in place to influence, but the majority, obviously in the parliament, have to come to consensus. Remember, politics is about compromise and consensus. And for them to come together and understand the need of the Gambian people and make that lead, take that lead to ensure it happens for the good of the mass people, good of the majority, because that is what it's all about, which you don't see in our National Assembly for the past 3 years. So it's about numbers, definitely. I mean, we have tried to put many policies, like I just give you a couple of examples about the summoning the president, about the section 101, about the changes of the 50 plus 1%. All these things we have tried, but obviously, I mean, like I said, if people don't have the political will, there's no way it's going to take place, is it?
No. Yeah, but then as a political party, that's why we exist. We exist to convince people. We exist to create influential programs. And if we cannot do that, then why do we exist as a political party? Are we waiting for every 5 years or 4 years to do that last minute program and to do that last minute publicity so we get known and say, oh, we are here, we exist? Because we've seen parties in 2016, parties that never exist, and they never exist to function, and they came and be part of the coalition, and today they form part of the government, and we've never heard about them. And then thanks to GDC, and with all due respect to them, they have done exceptionally well, looking at from how long they have survived and from what they have emerged to came from. And also, like I said, this last section, what is the affiliation, or is there any link or affiliation with the GDC and the APRC?
Well, it's very funny, and because we can see, obviously, that this is an allegation that was being said since the beginning, and it has proved futile that the GDC has nothing to do with the APRC, as we can see. Yes, they are political parties in the Gambia. You know, it is not for GDC to condemn them, but obviously, it is not also the GDC to decide for them. However, the GDC, as a political party whose hands are open to all political leaders in the Gambia to work with, if the need arises, obviously that means we are not going to marginalize anybody. But the affiliation of GDC to APRC, if that was the case, come on, from the beginning 2016, the GDC leader would not have stand and say that the election is fair for the APRC leader to leave. So how can that bring about an affiliation or relationship, good relationship between those two parties, when we know that if only Mama Kandeh had said that the election is not fair, like the APRC claimed, then we will have to do an election again.
Okay. Thank you. And then last but not the least, is GDC more likely to go into coalition with the APRC or with Barrow or the UDP?
Sorry?
Should there be any election anytime from now, we all know what could be the likely outcome. Is GDC likely to go into coalition with either Barrow, APRC, or UDP? Because these are three big players right now.
Well, one thing I can tell you, Moine, for the Barrow, is excluded. The GDP will not form a coalition with Barrow.
Okay.
That is a no-no. The others, I cannot tell at this moment, because we have to wait for the time to come before we can decide, before we can see what is the need of the time. But right now, what is a clear one, we don't want to associate ourselves with failures, and we don't want to be with a failure. And we want Gambia to be better than what it is today. We want Gambia to be better for Gambians and friends of the Gambia. So obviously, and be an exceptional state in West Africa, as well as Africa as a whole. So for that to happen, it involves a very hard work, and that hard work cannot continue to have the old system to be in place. That's all I can say for now.
So finally, the need of time does not depend on what the party stands for, rather the need of time. Whether do we have to, we want to go in power, we have UDP in place, we need them, that's what we're going to go for. Is that how it's going to be played in the next couple of
years? The need of the time, when I say the need of the time, as you know, obviously we are going through the new process. CRC is on, their job is going to be completed. We need to focus on more on to getting the referendum through. We make sure we go to a new election, another election with the new constitution for a level playing field for all Gambians, and ensure that we have a 50+1%. Any political party which we are striving for, we would prefer to come out, or we would love to come out with more than 50% in the first round. But if we need to have another political party to work with, it depends on who can have the best fit. Because in any alliance, you have to check the best fits. And most of the alliance fails because there is no good fit. And with any strategy, depends on what position you are, you take the right action, you take the right choice, and make the right action. Pa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ndow, and it's been it was a pleasure having you. And then I must say, from the day one when I started this program, you were helping and you were guiding and you were eager, and then you opened your doors and you were ready to come and speak. And I hope every political party or every person or any influential person in any political party would do the same thing. I was trying to get in touch with few people, but some of them they declined, and some of them they could not even, they read my messages, but they could not even tell me yes or no. And this goes to show how journalists in the Gambia on the ground or media houses are struggling to get people to get information and to educate the people, and which is also another leadership problem we have in the Gambia. So leadership problem is not only borough or the government. People in charge of institutions also in authority are not reluctant to give out or to open up to others. So they withhold information. So I will take exception for you and for your party, and then congratulate you and thank you very much for coming at this short notice. And I hope, well, I will bring you back next week in 2 weeks' time for another special talk show on this 2 years protesting thing, which I am planning. I will, I think, get you behind the scene and we speak about that after maybe tomorrow. And then listeners, this was your program brought to you by BOD, Pa Ous, your host, and Mr. Ndow from the GDC PRO and the GDC Diaspora UK PRO and the Diaspora Vice Chairperson. And it was State of Affairs, a new talk show that we initiated to be coming every fortnight on Facebook Live and on YouTube channel. And we thank you for watching, and then we hope you enjoyed and educate yourself. And I hope it was very educative as well. So now, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to thank all the viewers and the listeners. Thank you also for availing this opportunity, for inviting me as a special guest first time, which is an honor, a great honor to me. Just to obviously thank my party members, particularly the party leader, Honorable Mama Kande, with his obviously continued leadership that obviously make us proud to be part of a GDC member, and encouraging Gambians to take part in politics through party politics and through any medium that they can support. We need the knowledge out there, we need the experience, and particularly women also to come on board and to be more representative in our political fray. I mean, I will also thank my family for obviously giving me the opportunity to be here and always giving me the opportunity to go in the service of the Gambia. So I thank you all and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ndow. Thank you very much.